Well, the appeal of this movie, you know, goes back to my children's childhoods because they would ask for these things on their birthdays, and I would get them Transformer toys, and then we would play on the floor. And I remember my own experience with Transformer toys, how much fun it was for me. And so this was a shared experience.
Transformers really gets its start in Japan with Takara, and it was a series of robot toys that transformed, and that's all they really were.
A couple of Hasbro executives went to Japan and saw this great idea and thought that there was something there and decided that this would be a really cool concept if we could wrap a story around it.
In Japan, there was no good guy, bad guy. They didn't have home planet. They didn't have personalities or stories. So that came from those meetings in Hasbro, and the characters that are weapons or gear, let's make them the bad guys. All the rolling characters, let's make them the good guys. The name Autobots, Decepticons, came out of that. After that, we started with the animation company.
Transformers came out in '84. We weren't quite into girls yet, I don't think. So it was get home from school, Transformers, glass of milk, brownie, whatever, you know, your snack. I don't know what your snack was or what you were allowed to
Not a glass of milk and a brownie.
But we saw it right when it came out.
Many millions of years ago, on the planet Cybertron, life existed. But not life as we know it today. Intelligent robots that could think and feel inhabited the cities. They were called Autobots and Decepticons.
At the time, there had been new legislation that kind of opened up toy-related animation.
Decepticon rule forever!
So it was one of the first shows that what you saw as a toy was in the show.
The Transformers, robots in disguise.
Transformers has a passionate fan base.
Who's the biggest Transformer fan?
Me.
Transformers.
More than meets the eye.
A lot of people remember Transformers from the '80s, which is when it was in its heyday, but it's actually been around ever since. And since 1984, Transformers has generated over $3 billion in retail sales, and that's, you know, one of the top franchises in history.
I have more than 1,000 Transformers at my house, fan since I was a kid.
I think it's just the mythos. I think that's what really got me into it after I was a kid watching the cartoon. Strong characters and just a very cool toy line to support it.
I'm a pretty big fan. I got my first toy when I was 2 years old, the first Transformer toy. I still have it.
About 75% of all adult men had a major Transformers experience in their lives, and that's true almost the world over. So you've got this great group of people who all grew up with the brand, are now working on the creation of Transformers the movie.
If it meant something to you as a kid and you had an emotional response to it, that's valuable and that needs to be heard, period. So we kind of come at it from that place.
I was a fan. I mean, my childhood was Yogi Bear and the Transformers movie.
It's over, Prime.
Was I die hard, like G1 all the way and like these people on Ain't It Cool News? No. Do I have a Transformers tattoo on my body somewhere? Probably not. Was I a fan? Extremely.
I did a lot of research and a lot of studying on it in the past year and a half. So that would make me definitely a Transformer head geek somehow.
From the very beginning, we knew we had fans following this. From the first time that a piece of art got out to the fact that Michael Bay's computer was hacked and the script got up online.
So I must say, so in fear of one of you guys stealing my computer to find out the real robot names, I decided that it'd be better to tell you this week or next week the true names, okay? Because I like my computer's got a lot of other secret on it as well. You could keep nothing secret on this movie. And the design started getting out on the internet. And people were saying, oh, Michael Bay, you wrecked my childhood. Damn you, Michael Bay.
Like most Transformers fans, when I first saw the designs of the movie, I was like, what? They changed everything. It's completely different. What's going on here?
I think a lot of fans hated me for it at first. After I read some of the posts that said they wanted to protest out of my office, they actually picked the wrong office because I moved. They didn't know my real address. So, and then the few little talkbacks where they said they want to hunt me down and kill me, I had a couple of those. But generally, I would take some of the constructive criticism and stuff they saw. I actually changed Megatron's face when they opposed it that much. It was very important to get our teaser out there that was like more of a badass teaser to show that it's real, not a cartoon. That teaser on Yahoo is the most downloaded teaser ever. That's crazy. So all of a sudden they see the headpiece. And they're like, oh, wow, uh-oh. Okay, that's starting to look really cool. You have to totally respect what's been created, and you can't, deviate. And I knew if I were to put these characters in the real world, they'd have to fit in the real world, and they have to be much more intricate.
We had kind of come to terms with the fact that we kind of respectfully acknowledged what had come before, but, there's a lot of logic that I had a problem with.
On Cybertron, I mean, they all walked around like with truck parts, transformed, and that just doesn't fly when you're trying to at least make it credible for someone who's never seen Transformers. So on Cybertron, they have to have, I created all of them having this endoskeleton, this underskin.
They're a technology that is beyond our understanding based on kind of a nanomolecular process. Each molecule, each cell is a machine unto itself.
So when they come to Earth, they come in these weird, like, pods. It's the endoskeleton wrapped up. They land, they unfurl.
And the notion is that when they arrive here, in order to truly just to exist on this planet in disguise, that they have the capacity to basically find a vehicle and replicate that vehicle based on their mass.
Alex and I decided we were going to try to avoid mass shifting, as we call it in the fandom. When Optimus Prime transforms from a truck into a robot, you want it to feel like it's the same size truck as going into that same size robot, and that there's no cheating going on.
Hasbro helped us select some of the robots.
And clearly we wanted that core cast of characters that people had known and loved. And that's why we kept talking about it as a G1-inspired story.
G1 is a fan term for Generation 1. So when people think back fondly on the 80s, nostalgia, Gen 1 is what comes to mind.
The characters that we knew had to be in the movie, without a doubt, were on the Autobot side, Optimus, Bumblebee, Jazz, and Ironhide. And on the Decepticon side, it had to be Megatron, Starscream.
And we knew we had to have someone kind of related to Soundwave. Frenzy's in there as kind of a representative of that.
I actually wanted more robots than we had, but it just ultimately got too expensive.
Actually, a few characters that we had contemplated that we designed product for.
We have a character here, RC, who's one of the only female robots in the Transformers lore. And she actually almost made it into the movie, but for some reason, they couldn't quite get the plot line correct, so maybe we'll see her in future movies to come.
Hasbro wanted to see what we came up with. They kind of left us completely alone for a long time.
They were really kind of, let me do my thing, and where I veered off, like with Optimus, we had to make the ears just a little bit bigger to get a little more of the samurai look.
If you think about where Transformers came from, the robot culture of Japan is in part based on the tradition of samurai armor.
We had some serious, Transformer, just total head geeks that have been, know the lore backwards and forwards, that we would vet this stuff through.
Early on that the art department was working on for Optimus, you can see that he was a lot more blue, and even the vehicle parts were kind of disappearing. Particularly the tires were uncoiling, and those are just things that were going to become issues for us to make product of. One of the things that Transformers is not is morphing. They are transforming, so pieces have to go somewhere. On the product side, with real plastic, my team has physics to contend with. That did present kind of a design challenge that we threw back to the production team, and they realized that, and I think we got to a happy place for everybody.
Autobots, transform. Roll out.
Peter Cullen did the original voice, and still has a great voice. And then this one, give it a little bit more of a, the easy Ironhide. You know what I mean?
When Peter Cullen was announced as the voice of Optimus, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was awesome, and I thought it was the most unexpected little nod to the fans, and I think it showed a respect for how much that voice defined the character.
They deserve to choose for themselves, and you will die with them.
When I was looking at faces, I said, I want Megatron to have an attitude like a Hugo Weaving.
You still fight for the weak.
Frank Welker, I kept putting his voice, the cartoon voice, to our gigantic Megatron, and it just didn't fit.
You fool, Starscream. You fool, Starscream. You fail me yet again, Starscream.
Okay. Thanks a lot. You did a great job. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you doing it. It was a pleasure. Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
The life-scale Bumblebee was only meant to be just kind of a see it for pieces, you know? It really can't hold up to the detail of going up close.
What they'll do is they make that robot in the computer. Then they give us that computer file, and we'll make that part.
This piece is called the Bumblebee. It supposedly transforms from a 2008 Camaro into this robot here. And how it's going to do that, I have no idea.
There's 150 single parts on that robot. The whole robot was sculptured out of foam. We took molds off of them, made fiberglass parts, and when it stands up, it's actually about 18 feet tall.
That's too far, huh?
Too far? So we'll put this away. Here we go.
We need to make a yoke in there with a glitcher probably hold that.
This thing cost $75,000 to paint. It required a special 4-layer paint because it matches the car.
Me and Bumblebee are starting to get to be real close.
When we got near the robot, it was just like, no way. And you start walking, you're getting closer and closer, and you start seeing the body and the torso and the head, and it's just nuts. It was nuts. Silence.
The robot can't move on camera, but we can position it in any position that Michael needs it. And so it's a really good guide for them.
I'm operating the Bumblebee airbags for movement. Hey, camera! Marker! Be mark? Action! No!
My favorite Transformer is Bumblebee.
It's always been Bumblebee.
My favorite Transformer now, I think, is Starscream.
Megatron is dead. The humans have taken it.
I think Ironhide is probably my favorite.
Stand back. You feeling lucky?
I like Optimus Prime.